I see three possible options here with what happened to my video about covering Antifa. One is that there was just some kind of unintentional glitch. Something happened. Nobody intended for the video to just all of a sudden disappear from search results, but it just did. The other option is that there is some kind of algorithmic censorship going on here, or what a lot of people often call shadow banning. So there's something more sinister and purposeful in my video disappearing from search results. Or Google and YouTube are the worst search engines on the face of this earth. If there's a fourth option, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And before we get started on this video, I want to say thank you to all of my new patrons. Thank you to people who have donated to my channel through PayPal. Thank you to everybody who's commented, liked, subscribed. It's been amazing to hear from all of you, even the people who are critical of my channel. I actually really do appreciate the dialogue and the conversation, and I hope it continues. If you'd like to keep supporting my channel, there are links in the description for how you can do that. And let's get into it. This is the video itself specifically, okay? So you see how it was really high up here. We're talking like 200,000 views. And then boom, what happens here at the end right on Monday? It just drops to like nothing. What is the explanation for this? And then if you look at my channel analytics, you see how it was going up, and then it just tapered off. Like there was no momentum. And when I say I had a ton of momentum, y'all, I had a ton of momentum on this video. It was getting hundreds of thousands of views a day. I was getting over 10,000 new subscribers a day. I went from 4,000 subscribers to, well, now I'm at, 67,000 at this point. So that took less than a week. But all of a sudden, I noticed I was getting 1, 2, sometimes maybe on like a good few hours, I'd get 15 or 20. If you go directly to YouTube and you type in, I covered Antifa as a TV reporter, here's what the news often leaves out, which I did, you see here, these are your search results. I'm going to refresh them just to make sure, okay? So click it again. Originally, if you saw it, actually just changed. A guy who did a commentary on my video, he was the top search result, but as I just refreshed it, now PolitiFact Wisconsin checking claims about Antifa and light bulb inventor, that 377 views. That is the now top result for the exact title of my video. Considering it's my #1 by far viewed video on my channel, has over 1 million views, actually 1,070,000 something at this point. And it's way popular than anything else I have produced. Why is it not coming up immediately in the search engine when you type in the exact title? If you go to Google and you type in that, same thing. You see the videos other people have uploaded. I actually had a guy rip my video from my channel and post it on his channel. That I think has been taken down. But if you look at the search results here, it's like forums, other websites that posted commentary on my video. Here's what it's like when someone shot at a protest. That's a video I did. What is Antifa by some other channel? Oh, Care 11, which is actually a TV station that was part of the same corporation that owned my last TV station, where I left in September of last year. Nowhere do I see it on the first page. Let's just do next. Okay. Nope. Nothing. Oh, there's my food shortages video about how millions of animals have been euthanized because of COVID-19 and the backup in the factories. Okay, so that made it, even though that doesn't have anywhere near the amount of views. Let's go to another page. Nope. Not here. So where is my video? Why is it not coming up? I literally even typed my name, not just I covered Antifa as a TV reporter. Here's what news often leaves out. I added Allison Morrow. And if you go to my community page where you see that I posted the question for everybody, did you get the same results? The vast majority of your comments, and there are over 400 of them, said the same thing. There were a handful of people that said they were able to find it, and some of you were in other parts of the world, like Europe. I don't know if that has something to do with it, but the overwhelming majority of you all said the exact same thing, that it was not the first one that came up. It wasn't even in the first few pages of search results. Some of you couldn't find it at all. You did see my commentary video, the one I did where I said it hit 1 million views and I was responding to your comments. Others suggested trying Bing. So I did that. I typed in, I covered Antifa as a TV reporter. Here's what news often leaves out. And there are 2 Reddit threads here at the top. But if you scroll down right here, that's my original video. So it comes up on Bing. I also did DuckDuckGo, and it's the top search result for that too. Frankly, Antifa and covering May Day in Seattle, this was not the hill that I thought I'd die on as a journalist. When I uploaded that video on Labor Day, I thought it would maybe get 1,000 views. Maybe 1,000. I had no clue that it would start climbing up towards 1 million and then cross over 1 million within just a few days. It obviously shows there's a lot of interest in this topic, and for whatever reason, YouTube was placing it on people's home screens. That's how folks were finding it. That's just goes to show that it does make a big difference when YouTube puts something in front of people or chooses not to put something in front of people. But this represents such a minor part of my career. Really. I mean, this was 1 or 2 days max a year for me. Whereas every other day, I was covering the environment. That's what I did. I was an environmental reporter. I was totally mainstream in that sense. I was not some rogue sort of independent conspiracy theorist lady with a video camera. By all standards, YouTube, Silicon Valley, Google would consider me safe, right? I was totally mainstream until this. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened between Sunday and Monday. I don't know tech well enough, frankly, to know how it all works behind the scenes. All I know is what I have seen on my analytics, and as I showed you, what happens when I search for my video. And like I said, either we got a problem here with some kind of AI glitch or censorship, or Google is just a terrible search engine. I will say, though, that this brings us to a really important discussion over free speech and the role that these platforms play in our discussions of extremely important topics, and how sad it really is to see even journalists saying that this is okay, that the babysitting, that would be sort of the nannyism. That's the term that, you know, we need the gatekeepers. That's what you often hear, right? We need gatekeepers. That the people whose positions it is to promote the free flow of information, that folks in that field would be front and center saying that this is okay. To me, it's mind-boggling, and that's why I'm willing to continue talking about it, because I think it's a real shame. I think it's a real shame that journalists, people, even scientists are coming out saying, yes, let's let Google and YouTube decide for us what is true. Like a small group of extremely wealthy people in 1 or 2 parts of the country determining for all of us what we're able to see. And the reason that this is such an important issue to me, when frankly I would much rather be talking to you about our natural resources, because that is my passion and my specialty. I'm the kind of person who has hiked tens of miles in the snow to a lone wolverine den in the South Cascades. That's what I love to do, not sitting on YouTube complaining about big tech censorship. But I'm going to keep talking about this because I think this is perhaps the most important issue of our time. And frankly, I'm biased, obviously, because I was a journalist. I still consider myself in that world, even though I'm not in the mainstream corporate news atmosphere anymore. I'm still somebody that believes in free speech and still somebody that wants to get to the truth. And it's very difficult, especially if you literally type in exactly the title of something and you can't find it. And then there are people out there who think, well, if the information's not there, it just must not be there. Or if it was banned, it just must be bad and reckless. In fact, many of the videos, actually, I found a couple explaining, because I just wanted to do a quick search on like what is shadow banning, and I found several videos talking about shadow banning as if it's like you deserve it. Like, you're a troll, you're annoying people, you're flaming the fire of disinformation, of fake news, so obviously you deserve this. If it were that simple, I would not be talking about it. If it were that simple, then this would not be an issue. The decision between true and false, right and wrong, is extremely subjective. And I will tell you that if you look at my video that I have uploaded where I interviewed that doctor who was silenced essentially by the Federal Trade Commission, so not big tech, but now the government, that guy was a leader in his field for decades. And then somehow overnight he turned into a charlatan. How does that happen? Somebody please explain to me how that happens. Because I'm a great example of this. I'm somebody who was looked at as a leader in her field for years. I was one of the only, if not the only, full-time environmental reporters for a TV station in this entire country. I have won a couple Emmys. I won a Sigma Delta Chi Award from the Society of Professional Journalists for excellence in journalism. I'm not somebody who's sort of on the fringe. Like, I've gone to the rodeo, all right? I left with the door prize. I'm one of them. And either I never knew what I was talking about before this, or I know what I'm talking about now. And I think this is something that people who are for censorship really need to chew on. Why is it? Please explain to me how somebody who has been looked at as a leader in their field for years, overnight turns into a fake, a liar, a dangerous person spreading misinformation. Another thing is, if you go to my channel, you'll see a video I did about how I covered the Chaz Chop in Seattle. Just happened to drive by it to take a look at it and see it for myself. And I posted that, and that was monetized. That was allowed to be on YouTube and was not censored as far as I know. But the video I did prior to that about how people were protesting COVID-19 shutdowns, that was demonetized as dangerous content. The question I asked during that video was why? Why was it that the COVID-19 protests, during which I never heard of a takeover of multiple blocks of a neighborhood in a city, I never heard about emergency services being blocked, I never heard about people getting shot, I never heard about businesses having to shut down due to the protesters only because of the government's regulations. I never heard about any of that. And yet that was dangerous content, and the Chaz Chop was considered suitable for advertisers. Why? And you never get an explanation for this. Keep in mind that when my video was making the rounds on YouTube last week, like I said, I was getting tens of thousands of subscribers. Okay? I was getting over 10,000 a day. This is how it helps, right? When you hit the sweet spot on the AI, that's how you get your name out there. And for me, the information is paramount. That's what I do this for. I want the information to get eyeballs because it's important. The stuff that I'm talking about, I believe, is important. And like I said, I wish this wasn't what I was talking about. There are plenty of other things I'd love to be talking about right now other than this. But I think this is really important because if we don't fix this, then all the other topics don't matter. They don't matter because no one's going to hear about them, right? It doesn't matter if the topic is COVID, if the topic is the economy, if the topic is unicorns and fairies. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because if we can't figure out this issue, then this ends it all. This ends the pursuit of truth because this is how we continue communicating with each other right now. This is the town square, whether these private companies want to admit it or not. And this is an oligarchy, whether they want to admit it or not. You probably remember Tulsi Gabbard's case. This article, judge rejects Tulsi Gabbard's free speech lawsuit against Google. So that got thrown out. Why? Well, if you scroll down, it basically is because they have determined that it's a private company, which we all know, and that private companies are not held to the same standards as the government when it comes to First Amendment rights. And so you read here that Democratic presidential hopeful Tulsi Gabbard filed a lawsuit against Google accusing the company of violating her First Amendment rights to free speech when it briefly suspended her campaign's ad account. On Wednesday, California's Central District Court rejected the suit outright. She had asked for $50 million in damages and said her campaign claimed that Google helps to run elections through political advertising and search results, which the judge rejected, and essentially said that she failed to establish how Google's regulation of its own platform is in any way equivalent to a governmental regulation of an election. What I've read is not that they're not doing this stuff. Okay. Now, maybe they've said they're glitches and other things that are just unintentional, but I haven't read that things aren't happening behind the scenes, right? That are making it easier or harder to find information. All I'm reading is that Google's allowed to do that because it's a private company. So that's a very important distinction to make here. And this article too, this is about PragerU. YouTube isn't bound by the First Amendment and is free to censor PragerU videos, a court ruled. This is from Business Insider. And basically the judge ruling here says that the First Amendment applies largely to government censorship of public speech rather than private companies. And here's the quote from the judge. Despite YouTube's ubiquity and its role as a public-facing platform, it remains a private forum, not a public forum, subject to judicial scrutiny under the First Amendment. To me, this is the issue of our time, figuring this out. I've heard people like Glenn Greenwald, who broke the Ed Snowden case. He and I completely align on this issue. And we do totally different things, cover totally different topics. But on this, thank God there's at least somebody out there who thinks that this is very concerning. And my guess on that is because journalists like Glenn have actually had to risk their safety and their lives for their reporting. And the people who have used their journalism to gain followings through emotional tweets, these people have not had to risk their lives and their safety. So perhaps they do not know the real cost of freedom and the real cost of the First Amendment. Because this issue, if this issue is not resolved, there are some serious dangers ahead for us. Not just what happens with COVID, for instance. Like I said, I have a doctor on my channel who had treated over 100 COVID patients, no deaths. And he treated them basically by helping boost their immune system the way he had helped every other patient over decades of his practice to fight flus and other viruses, and it worked. He was told to shut up. Again, by the FTC, not by Google. But I'm sure if he had started talking on YouTube, his stuff would have been demonetized or potentially banned because what he was saying went against the WHO. So I leave it there. I'm not going to continue to prolong this issue. I mean, I guess I'm going to keep talking about it as I learn more things. I'm going to try to figure out how to get a hold of somebody at YouTube, maybe so I can just at least get some clarification on this issue, and I'll let you know what I find out. But I guess I just leave you with this question. If you're somebody who thinks that this democratization or alleged democratization, that's what the people will say, the Wild West of information, like it's really a democracy. But the people owning the truth, why this is so dangerous. If you think that's dangerous, if you're that kind of person, look at history. Look at all the scientists, look at all of the truth tellers over the years who have been silenced, prosecuted, thrown out, only for us to find out decades later that they were right. And we were wrong. The mainstream narrative was wrong and they were right. There are gazillions of examples of that. And people who want censorship will be the first to have like holidays named after these people. We talk about Galileo, for instance. The guy who taught us that we should start washing our hands. Okay? I can't even remember the dude's name right now, but the doctor brought that up in my video with him. The guy who basically nixed maternal deaths due to infection because doctors weren't washing their hands between dealing with other patients and then delivering a baby. That guy just said, start washing your hands. And they thought he was crazy. What do we do now? We all wash our hands. But that guy, when he said it, that was considered, that would have been dangerous content for YouTube. Washing our hands. So that's why I am always going to be on the side of free speech. Always going to be on the side of not censoring. Because I want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then I'm going to take the responsibility upon myself to figure out what's true. If you trust a few people in Silicon Valley to make that decision for you, good luck. Good luck. I would like to take the risk of the bad information getting out there over not being able to find the good information. And that's the choice. That's ultimately the choice. Is that what would you prefer? That some bad information got out there, or that actual, viable, factual, good information never makes it to us? And frankly, even when it comes to my opposition, I would rather them have the opportunity to speak out stuff that I totally disagree with, because I know that if I try to censor them, it's only a matter of time until those fingers are pointing back at me. It's really easy when your person is in charge and doing what you want done to rally for this kind of power grab, because you're like, oh, good. Yeah, it's because I want this, right? I want these people to be silenced. But soon enough, your person's not going to be in charge. Soon enough, somebody that you oppose is going to be in charge, and now you've just handed them your ability to live your life based on the information you need to make good decisions. Now they're in control. Now what? So that's why I'm always going to stand for free speech and no censorship. Because again, the risk of not getting good information, to me, is far greater than the risk of bad information getting out there. If you'd like to support my videos, again, I'm Allison Morrow. You can check out the links in the description below. You can become a patron, or you can just give me a one-time PayPal donation. But honestly, the biggest help here is to share my content. It really does help. Like it or dislike it. Leave me a comment. Share it. All of that interaction makes a big difference with the AI. So I appreciate all of you guys. I'll see you next time.